Hello, everyone. My name is Natalie Ledwell, and this is the Inspiration Show. Today on the Inspiration Show, we're going to be talking about three pillars that you can apply when it comes to the law of attraction to set up a foundation in your life so that you can create success in any area that you wish to create success in. So to help me explain all of this and to talk about his book called The Three Pillars, please welcome Mr. Karl Gruber. How are you, Karl?
Hey, great. Thank you, Natalie, for having me on. Like I said, I'm very excited about being here and talking about the three pillars.
Absolutely. So what we might do is get you to start a little bit with your story and your background and what was the motivation, how you got to writing the book, The Three Pillars.
Well, I've never marched to the drum of most people. I'm one of those guys who've pretty much been there and done that. But one constant in my life has been for many decades now, I've been a disciple of what I call positive possibility power thinking. And of course, that goes back to the Norman Vincent Peale of the world, Napoleon Hill, on and into the modern era, to the Wayne Dyers of the world, Deepak Chopra's, all positive, beautiful part of the evolution of spiritual consciousness and enlightenment that is happening in the world today. So it's been a beautiful journey for me. And basically, that's how I came to this point. I've been a radio disc jockey. One thing, I am an athlete. A few years ago, I became the 9th guy in the world to run 52 marathons in 52 weeks. I wrote a book about that, but the whole point to that is not to show how cool I am, is I am a marathon runner and a triathlete, and I understand about the importance of health and well-being. And then 3 years ago, I became certified as a law of attraction life coach. So now I consider myself holistic, as in WHOLE. Holistic, the whole realm, and that's where I'm at.
Excellent. So, so with the book that you wrote, The Three Pillars. So let's start first of all with what the three pillars are.
Well, absolutely. Where I'm coming from with that is like many people over the years, even though I'm a disciple of that positive possibility mentality, so many people struggle with it. And the lady who wrote The Secret, she even talks about this, a fellow Aussie, of course, and is that so many people try to use the law of attraction, and they can be somewhat successful with it, but they finally say, none of this stuff works. It doesn't work for me. I've tried. I just can't manifest it. And I finally, I went through that, and I just couldn't figure out, now there's got to be a way to make this happen. I know as a law of attraction life coach that everything's energy, like attracts like. Why can't I get it to work? And so finally, this past summer, I had a bit of an epiphany. And it wasn't necessarily a blinding flash of light epiphany, but it was a slow epiphany. And I finally realized that how can we become consistent with using the law of attraction to create the things in our life that we want if we're not consistent? And I looked at it. I go, well, there's got to be a foundation. You have to have a strong personal foundation. Well, our house, our quote house, or our lives are built on this foundation, but we have three main pillars. And the main pillars are mental, physical, and spiritual. Now, if all three of those pillars are solid, rock solid, then you can work in conjunction as a co-creator with the law of attraction. However, if even one of those pillars has a crack in it, then the whole foundation will tend to be shaky and could eventually collapse. And the biggest example I use there are professional athletes and politicians. And I'm not picking on them, but I just use them as an example simply because they're so high profile. How many of these folks have we seen at a very high level in their life, but we didn't realize, and maybe they didn't, they had a crack in one of those three pillars and their whole house came crashing down. So with this quote epiphany, this is how I came up with this idea. And of course, again, the first pillar is mental. And the real important part about your mental pillar is, and it goes back to where the world is right now. Unfortunately, most of the world considers the negative realm of lack and attack and a judgment. There's not enough in the world. You know, you're bad, you did something wrong, attack, that type of thing. Just watch the news, and we understand this. Pick up a newspaper, and it's true. The problem of acceptance as reality is that it is just, it sucks the life and energy right out of us. You know, we live this way. You know, that's what we're taught from the time we're youngsters. However, you need to to strengthen that mental pillar, you have to do a 180-degree turnaround. And as a law of attraction life coach, learning through Christy Whitman's QSCA, there's a process called pivoting. And I love that. You have the power to 180-degree pivot and look on the other side. And this is what we need to do. And once you make this pivot, then you start looking at the positive, and positive is just a generic term here, but you really have to base your mental capacity, your thoughts, on universal truths. And universal truth is really love. And to me, this is the only reality of oneness and truth. If you've been sands of our dualistic, ego-driven world, then the whole house is going to come crashing down. But if you build it on a solid support of universal truth, there's no way your mental pillar is going to come down. And I like to do, I have my cliff notes here of my own ebook, that's it. But some affirmations are: my thoughts are now working in harmony and resonance with the universe and helping me to manifest all of my greatest dreams, goals, and desires. I'm now moving forward with deep trust and faith in creating that which I desire for my life, knowing that my mind and thoughts now rest on rock-solid foundation. I know you're quite a practitioner of affirmations, and they work.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, you know, you're right. You know, when it comes to pulling back all the layers, I mean, all there is really love. Everything comes from love. And so when you're talking about, you know, you building this mental and strengthening this mental pillar in relation to love, like, how do we do that? Are there certain exercises we can do to strengthen that mental pillar?
Well, and I really do believe, again, we just kind of hit on these affirmations, and if the viewers will go to my ebook and find it, I have several more affirmations in there. But really, the best thing you can do is understand that you have the power to do that pivot. Turn away from that judgmental world that we see and do that pivot and turn to the universal solid truth of love. And in love encompasses everything. Love encompasses light. Love encompasses truth. Love is universal. And to me, again, that is real reality right there. So you have the power to make the choice.
Okay. All right, so let's move on to physical things. So I'm sure that we don't have to run 52 marathons in 52 days.
No, 52 weeks. Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about this, you know, this physical, because it is really important. I mean, all the money and all the toys and all those things, you know, the trappings of life mean nothing if we don't have the health to be able to enjoy it. So how do we strengthen that pillar?
And you know, Natalie, nothing that I speak about here in the physical pillar is new. I mean, most of it is common sense. The one thing about our physical pillar, as opposed to the mental pillar, which is more of an abstract concept, with our physical self, you know, people can relate to this more because we can see it, we can feel it. But the problem is that, of course, exercise and smart nutrition and other things are a real key in creating a strong physical foundation. But it's amazing how people just poo-poo that. You know, I, being a runner and a triathlete, you know, I can't tell you how many people have said to me, I'm only going to run if somebody's chasing me with a gun. Well, hey, that's fine. Just get your fitness to a place where you can live longer, because the general correlation is excellent health and fitness mean a longer, healthier, more enjoyable life. And who wouldn't want that? However, you know, the choices that people make, and it may go back to the mental pillar of thinking that negativity is reality, is people choose poor diets. We have a plague of obesity and diabetes and high blood pressure, not only in America but in the world. And the knowledge is there. Man's knowledge of medicine, sports, and nutrition are at the peak, the highest it's ever been. Yet, well, like I said, we have an even greater plague of all those physical maladies, and it doesn't have to be that way. The hardest part is people say, well, I'm not going to exercise because, I'm not going to change my nutrition because it's too hard. And I say, well, how hard was it to gain that extra 50 pounds over years and months? It took a lot of time and effort. And of course, so yeah, but it was more fun. But I'll tell you again, we want that general correlation of good fitness, appropriate body weight, nutrition to allow you to enjoy life better. And even, as many people consider this world nothing but a dream of duality, people say, well, why should I take care of my body if this is a dream? Well, I say, well, then at least take care of your body so you can enjoy this dream. And it's doable. It is very doable.
Absolutely. I think really to have the energy and the clarity and the motivation to do what it is that we want to do, we have to have a certain level of fitness to be able to do that. And that might not mean exercising every single day, but at least moving your body and getting blood flowing and doing, and I always combine it. Like I'm always listening to an audio book or something while I'm exercising because it really helps me to, I'm like combining two things. I'm really in this positive vibration. And then I can exercise for an hour and it doesn't even feel like I've, like it's been an effort, so as long as I'm still doing something.
And okay, you find what works for you, Natalie. For me, running is my quiet, meditative, spiritual time of the day. You like to multitask. That's what works for you. That's what works for me. We find what works for us and just keep moving forward.
I know. I love running. I was a runner till I had this knee situation. But again, it was same for me. I would run along the water, and it was like a meditation for me. It was just, I loved it. Okay, so we've got about 4 or 5 minutes left. So let's talk about the last pillar, which is the spiritual pillar. I actually just recently recorded a show about the importance of us having a spiritual practice and really being, in touch with the essence or the soul of who we are. So tell me your interpretation of the spiritual practice or the spiritual pillar that we should have.
And of all of the 3 pillars, this may be the hardest for people to solidify and make rock solid because, again, we've gained so many paradigms of judgment through various religions and things thrown at us over the years. But, really, this is where that real rock solid universal truth comes into play. And it's about walking the walk that you talk and walking within the integrity of that universal truth of pure love and oneness. And I have this in my ebook, the quote from A Course in Miracles. What do you want? Light or darkness, knowledge or ignorance are yours, but not both. Opposites must be brought together, not kept apart. For their separation is only in your mind. They are reconciled by union. And for truth is union, and that is real key. So walk the talk, live in integrity with those universal truths of oneness and light and love.
Yeah, absolutely. And that in itself, I mean, the information that you've shared here today is just fantastic, but just that statement in itself, it's not like you just flip a switch and this is what happens. I mean, this is a lifelong process. It's a lifelong progress where we're always reminded and stepping into that. And, there's times where we sort of go off track and, we'll have some emotional reaction to something. And then you kind of have to come back and go, no, let's step back into being present or having, what is my truth? What is my mission? Where am I focused? And then getting back on track again. So, that in itself is it's quite a process and it's a lifelong process, but I think that's part of the purpose of why we're here.
And I have a bonus, and that bonus is what I call the keystone. The keystone to your whole house is forgiveness. And forgiveness, as the world practices it, is one of inequality. Somebody sinned against you or caused something to make you mad, and you say, well, I forgive you, but those the world practices, the forgiver is up here still, and I forgive you, but you're still looking down like they really did something. in what the spiritual community calls quantum forgiveness, we recognize that it's really just an error. It wasn't a sin. It wasn't something that you have to give. But when you do quantum forgiveness, we're equal. You've just recognized it as an error. And I'll tell you, when you come from that perspective of quantum forgiveness, of just recognizing as an error from your brother or your sister, it's freeing, Natalie. You don't have to walk still, I forgive, but you're really not at that equal level with the person you're forgiving. And another thing, I know we don't have a lot of time, but you have to forgive yourself too, because if you don't forgive yourself, you walk around with your own inequality within your subconsciousness even, and then problems, maladies, physical, mental, and your other cracks and your pillars show up if you don't forgive.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Karl. Like I said, this has been a really informative show, and I really appreciate you spending time with us. So if people want to connect with you or get their hands on your ebook, where can we send them?
Well, there's a website, that 3pillarsfoundation.com, and that's the number 3pillarsfoundation.com/3 dash simple dash steps /. So maybe we can put it up on the screen too. So
yeah. So what will happen is that if you're watching this online, if you click on the banner to the side, that'll go straight through to the 3 Pillars website. And if you're watching this on the app, if you click on the banner, so you don't have to remember that URL. If you just click on the banner that you see, that'll take you directly through to that site. Okay.
This has been fun. Thank you so much, Natalie. I really enjoyed it.
It's been such a pleasure talking to you, Karl. And guys, I encourage you to share this video. You can do that by clicking the Facebook and the Twitter share buttons on this page. Also, make sure that you leave your email if you haven't done so already, so that I can send you the Manifesting with the Masters video e-course. It's actually valued at $87, and I'd love to send it to you for free. So until next time, remember to live large, choose courageously, and love without limits. We'll see you soon.